Right now, in rooms you'll never see, someone is being interrogated about their failure. Your enemies hired the best they could find, send them with one mission: take you out, by any means necessary. But that person just came back empty-handed, confused, shaken to the core. And when they asked, "Why are you still alive? Why couldn't you get to them?" the answer that came back broke their entire operation. "I don't know. It's like I just can't get my hands on them. They know. They see me coming. They're protected by something I can't touch." This isn't paranoia. This is the actual conversation happening behind your back right now. Someone was sent to destroy you and failed so miserably they can't even explain it. You're about to understand why every trap set for you collapses before you reach it. Why every scheme designed to break you falls apart at the last second. Why you're still standing, still breathing, still thriving when they planned your funeral. It's like watching someone try to grab smoke with their bare hands. You're there, they can see you, but every time they reach for you, you slip through untouched. That's not luck, that's anointing meeting awareness, and it's driving your enemies absolutely insane. Why are often your dragine something crucial right now? These people are reporting back with genuine confusion. Not anger at first, confusion, because in their world, in the dark spaces where they operate, things usually work a certain way. Manipulation works, deception works, force works, but with you, nothing is landing. It's like watching someone try to punch through reinforced steel with bare fists. They're hurting themselves while you remain untouched. And that confusion is rapidly transforming into something else: fear, because people who operate in darkness fear the light more than anything. And chosen one, you are radiating so much light right now that they can't even look directly at you without seeing their own shadows exposed. The hitman metaphor isn't just dramatic language. For some of you, this is closer to literal truth than you realize. Someone orchestrated something that was supposed to end badly for you, but none of it worked. You dodged bullets you didn't even know were fired. You avoided traps you never saw being set. Natural disasters intervened at the exact moment someone was traveling to reach you with harmful intent. Meetings got cancelled, plans fell apart, technology failed at critical moments. What they called bad luck was actually your protection manifesting in real time. Your ancestors weren't sleeping, the divine wasn't distracted, every single attempt was blocked before it could reach you. Now let's talk about what really has them shaken. It's not just that you survived. Lots of people survive attacks. What has them losing sleep is that you're aware. You know what they tried. Maybe not every detail, but you sense it. You feel it. You've had those moments where something felt wrong about a person or situation, and you honored that feeling instead of dismissing it. You've had dreams that warned you, intuitive hits that made you change plans at the last second, gut instincts that screamed danger when everything looked perfectly safe on the surface, and you listened. That's what separates you from their previous targets. You're not moving through life unconscious and vulnerable. You're awake, you're tapped in, you're operating from a level of spiritual awareness that makes you essentially untouchable to their tactics. Here's where the energy shifts dramatically. That person they sent, that accomplice, that partner in crime, came back and told them something that changed everything. This person is aware, they know what we're doing, they see through the masks, they recognize the patterns. I watched them spot my true colors within minutes, and suddenly the entire operation had to be reconsidered. Because you can't run a con on someone who sees you coming from a mile away. You can't emotionally manipulate someone who's healed from their trauma and knows all the tactics. You can't spiritually attack someone whose connection to source is stronger than your connection to darkness. The game board flipped. They thought they were playing chess against a novice, but you showed up as a master who could see 10 moves ahead. Some of you experienced something even more specific. There was a family funeral, or news of someone passing, and in the middle of grief and chaos, something felt off about how certain people were moving. You noticed irregularities, questions without good answers, stories that didn't quite line up. And because you noticed, because you asked questions, because you didn't just accept the official version of events, you disrupted something much bigger than you initially realized. They needed your silence. They needed your compliance. They needed you to be too grief-stricken or too trusting to look closely at what was really happening. But you looked, and what you saw made you step back and protect yourself. The marriage fraud situation some of you uncovered is particularly insidious. Someone got close with long-term intentions that had nothing to do with love. This was about access. Access to your resources, your reputation, your legal standing, your connections. They were sent in as part of a larger scheme, maybe to isolate you from real support, maybe to position themselves for financial gain, maybe to create legal complications that would tie you up for years. Some of you even discovered that someone was impersonating you, using your identity in ways that could have destroyed your life. But here's the beautiful part. You caught it, maybe not immediately, but before permanent damage could be done. Your awareness saved you from a trap that takes most people years to escape. If this message hits your spirit, hype this video so more chosen ones like you can find it. Let me tell you what your enemies are dealing with now. They're stuck, trapped in their own schemes. The very plans they created to ensnare you have become prisons for themselves. There are legal issues brewing. Evidence they thought was hidden is surfacing. Screenshots exist. Witnesses are talking. That surveillance they were so proud of using against you captured their own crimes instead. The universe has a sense of humor like that. What you send out comes back. The energy of harm they projected is boomeranging with precision. And they're scrambling, trying to cover tracks, trying to run from consequences, trying to find new targets because you proved untouchable. But karma doesn't take appointments. Justice doesn't wait for convenience. What's coming for them has already been set in motion, and no amount of manipulation or dark practices can stop it now. Your power lies in something they fundamentally don't understand. You move in silence. They're so used to people broadcasting every move, sharing every plan, posting every location, announcing every victory before it happens. But you learned a different way. You learned that real power doesn't need an audience. Real magic doesn't require witnesses. You do the work in private. You strategize quietly. You make moves they don't see coming because you stopped performing your life for spectators. This drives them absolutely insane. They have laptops and fake accounts and entire networks devoted to watching you, but they still can't predict what you'll do next because you're not feeding them information. You're not leaving breadcrumbs. You're not giving them patterns to exploit. The spiritual gifts you carry have evolved into something that transcends basic intuition. You're operating at frequencies they can't access. When they try to send lower vibrational attacks your way, the energy just bounces off. It can't stick to you because you're vibrating too high. It's like trying to make mud stick to moving water. The water just keeps flowing clean and clear while the mud falls away. You've done the healing work. You've cleared the trauma. You've released the karmic patterns that once made you vulnerable to certain types of manipulation. And in doing so, you've become someone they literally cannot touch spiritually, emotionally, mentally, or physically. Your frequency is your fortress. Let's address the family dynamics some of you are navigating. There's a reason certain relatives are involved in schemes against you. It's not new hatred. It's old jealousy that finally found an opportunity to express itself. They watched you grow. They watched you develop gifts they don't have. They watched you receive blessings they believe should have been theirs. And instead of doing their own work to elevate, they chose to try tearing you down. This is the cruelest betrayal because these are people who should have protected you. People who knew you when you were vulnerable. People who had access to your trust. But you need to release any guilt about seeing them clearly now. Blood doesn't excuse evil. Family titles don't justify harm. You're allowed to recognize that some of your biggest enemies wore familiar faces. The thing about being a chosen one that nobody prepares you for is this: your light irritates demons that have nothing to do with you personally. You could be minding your business, living your life, bothering nobody, and still attract intense hatred from people who don't even know you. Why? Because your very existence is a reminder of what they're not. Your healing journey highlights their refusal to heal. Your boundaries expose their need to violate. Your peace disrupts their chaos. Your success challenges their victim narrative. You don't have to do anything directly to them. Your presence alone is enough to trigger everything unresolved within them. And instead of looking inward, they project outward. They make you the enemy. They create elaborate stories about why you deserve what they want to do to you. But none of it is really about you. It's about their own inner demons, recognizing the light you carry and recoiling from it. Some of you uncovered something about karmic friends being involved in plots against you. These are people who smiled in your face while planning behind your back. People who pretended to celebrate you while secretly competing. People who acted like confidants while reporting your business to enemies. The betrayal cuts deep because you trusted them. You shared your struggles. You let them into sacred spaces in your life, and they weaponized all of it. But here's what you need to understand about that situation. They didn't betray you because you did something wrong. They betrayed you because they were always operating from a lower consciousness. You just couldn't see it clearly until the mask slipped. And now that you see it, you can never unsee it, which means you'll never be vulnerable to that particular type of person again. The lesson was expensive, but the wisdom you gained is priceless. The organized crime element some of you are dealing with goes deeper than simple scheming. There are actual groups, actual organizations, actual networks devoted to certain outcomes. They operate with structure, with hierarchy, with plans and backup plans. They meet regularly. They share information. They coordinate attacks. This isn't paranoia speaking. This is reality for some of you. And the fact that you're still standing, still sane, still thriving, despite going up against organized opposition, is proof of something supernatural protecting you. No human strength alone could withstand that kind of sustained assault. You have divine backing, period. Now we need to talk about the financial angle that's driving much of this drama. There's money involved, significant money. Someone calculated your worth and decided you were a target. They looked at what you have or what you're going to have and made plans that involved removing you or controlling you or manipulating you into giving up what's rightfully yours. But they miscalculated one crucial factor. You're not the person they thought you were. You're not desperate enough to fall for false offers. You're not naive enough to trust without verification. You're not broken enough to accept crumbs when you deserve the full meal. Your self-worth is intact, and that changes everything. The attempts to force their way into your life physically reveal desperation. When manipulation doesn't work, predators resort to force. They showed up at your neighborhood. They tried to push past boundaries you clearly set. They attempted to bully or intimidate their way into spaces you protected. But even force failed against you, because your protection isn't just spiritual, it manifests practically. Doors lock at the right time, security systems work when they need to, people witness things that create accountability. Your refusal to be intimidated sends a message that resonates on multiple dimensions. You're not available for violation, not spiritually, not emotionally, not physically, and the universe honors that decision by providing practical protection alongside spiritual covering. Let me tell you what the practitioners they consulted said. Because yes, some of your enemies went to dark workers trying to get help, taking you down spiritually. They paid money for hexes and curses and spiritual attacks designed to break your peace, your health, your progress, your protection. And every single one of those workers eventually came back with the same report. I can't get through. There's something blocking me. This person is too protected. Their ancestors are too strong. Their spiritual team is too active. I don't know what to do. The dark practitioners hit a wall, not because they lack skill in their craft, but because light always overpowers darkness when it's rooted in genuine divine connection. Your protection isn't negotiable. It's not something that can be bargained with or worked around. It's absolute. The surveillance they conducted on you revealed more about them than it did about you. They watched your social media, expecting to find vulnerabilities. They monitored your movements, hoping to catch you slipping. They tracked your connections, looking for weak links. But what they saw instead was someone consistently making wise choices, someone surrounded by genuine love despite attempts to isolate you, someone thriving despite every obstacle thrown in your path, someone radiating peace while they're consumed by chaos. The surveillance backfired because it showed them a reflection of everything they're not, and that created even more rage. But rage without power is just noise, and that's all they have left now. Noise. Your healing journey became your greatest weapon without you even realizing it. Every therapy session, every meditation, every boundary you set, every toxic person you released, every pattern you broke, every wound you addressed, all of that inner work created layers of protection nothing can penetrate. You're not the same person who could be manipulated through trauma triggers. You're not the same person who would accept less than you deserve out of fear of being alone. You're not the same person who would stay silent about injustice to keep false peace. You healed yourself into a version of you that's essentially bulletproof to their tactics. And they're watching you love yourself, prioritize yourself, celebrate yourself, and it's killing them because they need you broken to feel powerful, but you refuse to break. The caregiver situation some of you navigated required wisdom beyond your years. Someone in a position of supposed care was actually positioning themselves to harm. Maybe they had access to a vulnerable family member and exploited that. Maybe they manipulated someone's final wishes. Maybe they created dependence to maintain control. You saw it happening and spoke up. You asked uncomfortable questions. You challenged authority that expected compliance. You protected someone who couldn't protect themselves, or you protected yourself from someone using care as a manipulation tactic. This took courage, because calling out a caregiver makes you look like the bad guy to people who don't understand what's really happening. But you prioritized truth over appearance, justice over comfort, and that decision saved lives in ways you may never fully know. The love triangle dynamics added complicated layers to an already complex situation. Someone you were connected to had other entanglements they never disclosed. Those entanglements created danger because the other person involved was unhinged. Crime of passion energy, obsession energy, willing to harm for possession energy. You were in danger from multiple angles without full knowledge of why, but your intuition picked up on something wrong. You felt the off energy. You noticed inconsistencies. You asked questions that revealed lies, and you extracted yourself before becoming a casualty of someone else's messy karmic situation. Not everyone has the discernment to recognize when they're caught in someone else's dangerous game. You did, and you got out. Some of you are uncovering evidence now of just how close you came to serious harm. Screenshots exist showing conversations about you that are chilling, messages planning things that never came to pass, proof of coordination between people you thought were separate problems. All of this is surfacing not to traumatize you, but to validate what you've been sensing. You weren't paranoid. You weren't overthinking. You weren't being dramatic. You were picking up on genuine danger, and your system was trying to protect you. Trust yourself going forward. That discernment saved your life. That inner knowing kept you out of situations that would have destroyed you. Your intuition is a gift that's been honed through experience into something razor-sharp. The regret they're feeling now is not about genuine remorse. It's about getting caught. It's about consequences they didn't anticipate. It's about plans failing and exposure looming. They regret that you're still standing. They regret that you're aware. They regret that evidence exists. They regret that karma is real. But they don't regret trying to harm you. That's important to understand. These are not people who will suddenly become safe if you give them another chance. These are people who will try different tactics if given opportunity. Your compassion is beautiful, but don't confuse compassion with making yourself available for further abuse. You can forgive from a distance. You can release bitterness without reopening doors. Wisdom knows the difference between healing and foolishness. Your career focus and success became points of attack because miserable people can't stand watching others thrive. You worked hard, you made sacrifices, you stayed disciplined when others were distracted, you invested in yourself when others were wasting resources, and you're now reaping rewards from seeds you planted years ago. They want you to feel guilty for succeeding. They want you to dim your light so they feel better about their darkness. They want you to struggle so you'll be on their level. But you refuse. You celebrate your wins. You acknowledge your growth. You own your success without apology, and that refusal to shrink is the most powerful statement you can make. You're teaching them through example that their opinions don't determine your reality. The spiritual haters watching your platforms and monitoring your messages reveal their obsession. They can't look away. They tell themselves they're gathering information, but really they're addicted to watching you. Because your life, even through a screen, is more interesting than theirs. Your wisdom challenges them, your growth convicts them, your joy irritates their depression, your peace disrupts their chaos, so they watch, and they screenshot, and they discuss you in group chats, and they analyze your every word looking for something to use against you. But here's what's really happening in that dynamic. Every moment they spend focused on you is a moment they're not spending building their own life. They're literally investing their time and energy into your story, while their own story stagnates. You're living rent-free in their head while thriving in reality. The math on that is hilarious when you really think about it. Now here's something that really has them shook. The hotel and motel situation exposed more than they wanted revealed. Someone was traveling repeatedly, using credit cards that left digital trails, staying in places they thought were discreet. Those locations got tracked. Those patterns got noticed. Some of you picked up on unexplained absences, strange expenses, lies about whereabouts, and you started asking questions that made them nervous. They thought they were being clever. Separate phones, cash payments when possible, fake alibis, but the universe has a way of exposing what's done in darkness. Credit card statements appeared when they shouldn't have. Someone saw them where they weren't supposed to be. Technology betrayed them at crucial moments. Now there's proof of things they swore never happened, and that proof is either already in the right hands or making its way there. The walls are closing in on lies they thought were secure. Let's talk about the protection you carry that goes beyond normal human understanding. Your ancestors are not playing games on your behalf. Bloodlines of power run through you. Warriors who faced impossible odds and won. Survivors who endured what should have broken them. Mystics who developed gifts that transcended the physical realm. All of that DNA lives in you. All of that strength is your inheritance. When your enemies make moves against you, they're not just coming against you as an individual. They're coming against generations of resilience and power and divine favor. Your ancestors knock schemes off course before they reach you. They whisper warnings in your dreams. They arrange divine appointments with the right people at the right time. They block paths that lead to destruction and open paths that lead to destiny. You're never alone in this fight. You have an army in the spiritual realm that makes earthly opposition look like child's play. The police involvement and legal proceedings some of you are facing or will face soon mark the turning point. Justice is coming. Not the false justice of people covering for each other, real justice, evidence that can't be denied, witnesses coming forward, technology revealing truth. Legal consequences for illegal actions. Some people are going to jail. Some people are going to lose everything they schemed to gain. Some people are going to face public exposure that destroys their carefully crafted reputations. And you don't have to do anything except tell the truth and let the process unfold. Vengeance isn't yours to take, but vindication is yours to witness. Stand back and watch how the universe handles people who come against the chosen with evil intent. The impersonation attempts some of you dealt with show desperation at its peak. Someone wanted to be you so badly, they literally tried to steal your identity. They studied your mannerisms, they copied your style, they tried to access opportunities using your name. This is beyond normal jealousy. This is obsession combined with delusion. They convinced themselves that if they could just become you or replace you, they'd have what you have. But what you have can't be stolen, because it's who you are at the core. Your gifts are not transferable. Your calling is not negotiable. Your destiny is not available for takeover. They can wear the costume, but they'll never have the substance, and eventually everyone sees through the disguise. Now let's address the poison energy that keeps appearing. Some of you literally had people trying to poison you. Your body rejected it, you felt wrong, and didn't consume enough to cause damage, or you avoided the situation entirely through divine redirection. Others experienced poison of a different kind, toxic words designed to infect your mind, toxic energy designed to drain your spirit, toxic relationships designed to contaminate your peace. But you built immunity through healing. You detoxed from their influence. You cleansed your space and your energy field. What was meant to poison you only made you more conscious of what you allow into your body, mind, and spirit. The devil card that keeps appearing in the energy isn't about you, it's about what was sent your way. Addiction energy, codependency energy, control energy, bondage energy. Someone or something operating from the lowest possible frequency came into your atmosphere with harmful intent. But devils can't touch angels. Darkness can't overtake light. What's low can't reach what's high. You're operating from an elevated state of consciousness that makes you incompatible with demonic energy. They can send it, but it can't land. It bounces off your field and returns to sender, doubled. That's not cruelty, that's cosmic law. What you send out comes back. And they sent out darkness, so darkness is what's consuming them now. Your self-worth became the ultimate shield against their schemes. Every offer they made looked insulting to you because you know your value. Every trap they set looked obvious because you respect yourself too much to accept less. Every manipulation they attempted failed because you love yourself enough to question what doesn't feel right. They needed you to be insecure. They needed you to be desperate. They needed you to be broken. But you did the work to build yourself up, to know yourself deeply, to love yourself completely, and that self-knowledge makes you unmanipulatable. You can't be controlled by someone when you're in full control of yourself. The Obsidian Inner Order is a sanctuary for those who have walked difficult paths and emerged with wisdom others can't see. We understand that some experiences exist outside the boundaries of what most people consider possible or acceptable to discuss. Every week we gather live on Zoom, real people with real faces sharing real stories without judgment. There's space here for the experiences you've carried in silence, the patterns you've noticed that others dismiss, the intuitive knowledge you've gained through your journey. We don't just listen, we understand. When you're struggling to make sense of your experiences, when you feel gaslit by a world that refuses to acknowledge your reality, you can return to our recorded calls and remember that your perception is valid. Join the Obsidian Inner Order, where your reality is honored and your voice is heard. Link in description. The jackpot energy appearing is confirmation that blessing is coming, that makes all their scheming look ridiculous in retrospect. Unexpected money, sudden opportunities, doors opening that were previously closed, vindication that's public, elevation that's undeniable. You're about to win in ways that make it clear you were never the underdog they tried to position you as. You were always the one with divine backing, always the one with supernatural favor. Always the one destined to overcome. They tried to rob you before you got blessed. They tried to stop you before you arrived, but they failed, and now you're about to receive everything they tried to prevent you from having. Your season is here. Your time is now, and there's nothing they can do but watch. The truth about why you're still alive, still sane, still thriving, still blessed is simple but profound. You were chosen before you were born for something that requires you to be exactly who you are. Your gifts are needed. Your story is necessary. Your voice matters. Your presence changes atmospheres. Your existence disrupts evil. You're not alive by accident. You're not protected by coincidence. You're not thriving by luck. You're alive because your purpose is bigger than their plans. You're protected because your calling is more important than their schemes. You're thriving because your destiny is already written and nothing they do can edit it. They ask the hitman why you're still alive, and the only answer that makes sense is the simplest one, because God said so. Chosen one. You're entering a phase where everything hidden comes to light. Every scheme gets exposed. Every enemy gets revealed. Every fake friend gets unmasked. This isn't happening to hurt you. It's happening to free you. You need to see clearly who you're really dealing with so you can make informed decisions going forward. Some people will be removed from your life through exposure. Some people will remove themselves when they realize they can't manipulate you anymore. Some people will face consequences that have nothing to do with you, but everything to do with cosmic balance. Your only job is to keep healing, keep growing, keep thriving, keep shining. Let the universe handle the rest. You're too blessed to be stressed about people who are already defeated. The organized crime element might sound extreme, but recognize that any group coordinating harm against an innocent person is organized crime regardless of what they call themselves: family, friends, business partners, religious groups, social circles. If they're meeting to discuss how to harm you, they're criminals. If they're plotting your downfall, they're enemies. If they're celebrating your struggles, they're demonic. Stop giving them soft names because of how you're connected. Call it what it is. And once you call it what it is, you can deal with it appropriately. You're not obligated to maintain relationships with people actively trying to destroy you. Blood doesn't justify abuse. History doesn't excuse harm. You have permission to cut off anyone who operates as your enemy, regardless of their title. Your story is shifting from defense to offense now. You've been protecting yourself, healing yourself, removing yourself from danger. That season was necessary. But now you're moving into a season of reclaiming everything they tried to take. Your peace, your power, your position, your prosperity, your purpose. They thought they won by making you retreat. But you weren't retreating, you were regrouping. You weren't hiding, you were healing. You weren't giving up, you were leveling up. And now you're returning to the battlefield as a completely different version of yourself, stronger, wiser, more protected, more powerful, more connected to Source. And they're not ready for this version of you. This version doesn't flinch, doesn't question, doesn't hesitate. This version moves with divine confidence and authority, and that changes everything. Chosen one. The question isn't why are you still alive? The question is how could you ever not be? You were meant to be here. Your breath is ordained. Your steps are ordered. Your protection is guaranteed. Everything you've survived wasn't close calls. It was confirmation that nothing can stop what God has approved. You're still standing because you're supposed to be standing. You're still thriving because you're supposed to be thriving. You're still shining because you're supposed to be shining. And everyone who came against you learned a valuable lesson, even if they won't admit it. Some people are untouchable because they're anointed. Some people are unbreakable because they're chosen. Some people are unstoppable because they're covered. You are that person. And now finally you know it beyond doubt. The hitman couldn't reach you. The schemes couldn't break you. The darkness couldn't dim you, because you were never theirs to touch. You belong to something greater, and that something greater protects what belongs to it. Always has, always will, always. Now walk forward in that knowing, and watch what happens next.